So now I'm going to take a fork in the road and talk about how to win at Hackernews because Pix3D went to #1, and hype is not a great measure of quality, but for something quality to be known and appreciated, it does require attention. If you're going to build something that you want people to use, you have to let them know about it. I've had quite a few projects do well on Hackernews now, so I'm starting to see some trends in what I've had a lot more projects not do well, so I'm able to see what kinds of things work and what don't. This is a chart of the position of, This is a chart of the position of Pix3D on the day it hit #1. As I said, I'd love to see more free software and deep technical content on the front page and less gimmicks and politics, so hopefully you can use this to get traction for your own projects. This isn't scientific, it's just what's worked for me. The first thing is to do good work. They don't always get it right, but people have quite an evolved sense for when you've invested time and effort to build something versus when you're selling snake oil. There's no shortcut to doing good work. You just have to put in the time researching and implementing things. Luckily, that's a very fun way to spend your time. So just keep doing what you're doing. Pix3D was very quick to build, but only happened because of several years, working in disparate areas like browser dev, games, and 3D modeling. My slides are not updating here. Less fun for nerds like us is telling people about what you're doing. I've had to train myself to do this, but it really does help getting the word out about your projects. When I announced Pix3D, I didn't post the GitHub page, I posted a blog post about the tech. All you have to do is write about what you're doing as much as possible. It helps to restrict yourself in word count. If you feel like you have to write 2,000 words, you won't end up doing it. And when you do, no one will read it. So writing a low impact, 280 word tweet or a short blog post, setting a word limit is an effective thing to do. The way I think about this is, what's the point of making something if no one uses it? Writing is a way to help the people who need your thing find it. So yeah, I'm trying to get in the habit myself of always writing when I'm building things. There's a great talk on YouTube called Juice It or Lose It. It's a talk about adding juice to video games. They take a simple platformer, which is very flat, and they keep adding juicy details to it until it feels super fun to play. You can do the same thing with blog posts and GitHub readmes. Use animations and sound, read some design and layout and color theory tutorials and apply what you've learned. Work on the copy and rewrite things often and get feedback from people. The game pictured here is not the one from the talk, Juice It or Lose It. This is Starguard, and it's made by Lauren Schmidt, but it's a great game and you should check it out. Use multiple forms of media when you're posting. I use Bizan's Record and Gifsicle to create and edit animated GIFs. So all the animated GIFs at the beginning of the talk were made using these. And Term to SVG is a good utility for recording terminal sessions for the web. Basically, it records everything you're doing, and then you can save it as an SVG and publish it. And the great thing about that is it's just an image, so it shows up on you can put it on your GitHub page and stuff like that. So compelling title is important, especially with the Hackernews thing. I think a title really helps that initial traction. Think about what you want from a blog post or a GitHub project. Like basically you want to learn something and you want to be entertained. So do this for your own readers. Your title or GitHub byline should tell the user what superpower they're going to gain by using your software. Your text and images should entertain them a bit. So like instead of it's a widget builder implemented in Python, say build web widgets faster in Python. So the second one tells the user what superpower they're going to get when they install it. And it's more fun to read. The other thing is posting often, because most stuff you post on Hackernews is going to tank. Most projects are going to get ignored the first time you post them, and as I'll show you in a second, it's quite random what gets up there. Here's a list of some of the stuff I've posted on Hackernews. Most of them are show Hackernews items, which are my own projects I'm trying to spread the word about. Most of them only have 1 or 3 stars. At first, when you do this, it feels bad, but you get used to it after a while, and it frees you from having to care about what Hackernews thinks, and it's more just a tool for getting your stuff out there. Now, imagine if you spent your whole life working on one thing and then posted it once and it tanked. That would be pretty brutal. So instead, you should post each time you add a new feature or make a release. That way, a lot of times it will tank, but then sometimes you'll get some traction. To demonstrate this point, I have a pretty good A/B test. I posted one of my projects as a show Hackernews, and then a couple of hours later, someone posted the exact same project again. My post got 6 upvotes, and his post got 148 upvotes. I have no idea why. They were the exact same URL, and the title only had 2 words different, show HN. So yeah, don't worry about what Hackernews thinks. Increase your chances of exposure by posting stuff often, and then focus on making your things quality. And all of this advice goes for other media too, I think, like Twitter, Product Hunt, etc. This year I've been trying to learn about this like elusive marketing thing, and this is basically what I figured out. You just got to do a lot of it. You got to be putting stuff out there all the time and just try and make it good quality and bring value to people. So this one's less important, but I generally post just before New York wakes up. It's not scientific, but based on an analysis of my own posts. There were lots which tanked when I did post at that time, but all of the ones that did well were mostly clustered around that time. It could be coincidence, but for my data set, it seems to hold. Yeah, thanks very much for coming to listen to me talk. I hope you enjoyed it and learned some stuff. If you want to stay in touch, you can find me at mccormick.cx. That's my website. I also have a newsletter there you can sign up to. I'm building a ton of experimental software on decentralization, web stuff, music tech, and I post about that. You can also follow me on Twitter. MCCRMX is my